invocation and lead us in the pledge, please.
Father, thank you for the opportunity for us to be here today to discuss the business of our community. We pray, Father, that you would guide and direct each one of us, that we have pure hearts and do the things that is best for the people that we represent. We pray that you watch over each one of us, our families, the ones that are over serving in countries, to give us the freedom that we have here today. And we give all the praise and glory to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jim. At this time, Sam, would you call the roll to bring the court to order, please?
Sarah Sanders. Present. Sean Lawson.
Yes.
Karen Johnson. Here. Ryan Blingel.
Yes.
Red Summers.
Yes.
All present.
Thank you. The treasurer's transfer report, Canan.
And what's for 418, 420, 430, and 502 for your approval.
I'll make a motion that we accept the treasurer's transfer report that's presented.
Second.
I've got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by 4th District Magistrate Blingel to approve the treasurer's transfer report as presented. Sam, call the roll, please.
Lawson.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Blingel.
Yes.
Red Summers.
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Presentation and approval of all bills.
I make a motion that we approve all bills.
Second.
Got a motion by 1st District Magistrate Sanders, a second by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon to approve the bills as presented. Sam, call the roll, please.
Johnson.
Yes.
Blingel.
Yes.
Red Summers.
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We have approval of minutes for the April 18th of 2023 Bullitt County Fiscal Court meeting, and also the special meeting we'll do them separately of April 20th of 2023 for the purchase of the property. The first one will be April 18th, 2023.
I'll put it in the form of a motion to approve.
Got a motion by 4th District Magistrate Blingel, a second by 3rd District Magistrate Johnson to approve the minutes of the April 18, 2023 Bullitt County Fiscal Court meeting as presented. Sam, call the roll, please.
Blingel.
Yes.
Red Summers.
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Secondly, is the special meeting we had on April 20th of 2023, which involved the purchase of the property on Preston Highway.
I make a motion that we approve minutes for April 20th. I'll second.
Got a motion by 1st District Magistrate Sanders, a second by 3rd District Magistrate Johnson to approve the minutes of the special meeting on April 20th of 2023 in the Bullitt County Fiscal Court. Sam, call the roll, please.
Red Summers.
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Lawson.
I'll have to abstain. I wasn't present.
Johnson.
Yes.
Blingel.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. All right. Presentations. Mr. Underwood, Government Affairs and Public Policy, about the opioid settlement funds and an opportunity to be presented to our fiscal court.
Good morning. My name is Ryan Underwood. I am representing Net Recovery. I have Rebecca Much with me. She is also with Net Recovery. I came here today to speak to you all about the opioid settlement funds that I'm sure you all are aware of. At this point, they have started being appropriated from the federal administrator and are headed to local governments. Net Recovery, just to give you a little bit of background, is a non-pharmacological opioid abatement treatment. It has been studied here in Kentucky for the last 10 years. They've treated a little over 500 patients with this treatment. I've given you all a summary brief that gives you a little bit of background about how the device works. It's basically very light electrical stimulation. It attaches behind the ears, and essentially what it does is it rewires the brain and starts creating the chemicals in your body that stop getting produced when you become addicted to opioids. That's the 30,000-foot view of what this device does. What NET is wanting to do is to continue that research here in Kentucky and expand on what they've already done. We've looked at efficacy. We just finished a 100-patient double-blinded study in conjunction with Wayne State University and a Dr. Mark Greenwald. We recently presented in front of the FDA. We should have some indication of approval on that sooner than we actually had anticipated before. But what we want to do is work with local governments as well as the state government in these opioid settlement funds. We've requested $3.7 million out of the state settlement from the Opioid Abatement Advisory Commission. We've submitted that grant. We're waiting to hear back from them. The other part of that is a request from multiple counties combined, 1.7 or $1.3 million. Beyond researching the efficacy of this device, what we would like to do is look at the societal benefits of this different treatment. We know what we can do with buprenorphine, methadone, Suboxone, drugs like that, traditional methods of treatment. What the SOBER study wants to do is look at the effectiveness of this and how it affects people after they leave treatment as far as employment, criminal recidivism, education, wages, transients, basically housing. We have agreements so far in place with KY Stats, which is one of the best in the country as far as taking metrics and putting together studies, as well as the University of Louisville to help us facilitate this. We have worked with Isaiah House as far as our rehab facility where we do all of this, so all of our patients are under, strict medical care. And I'll just cut to the chase, what we're asking for from Bullitt County, what we will be asking for, is a total of $50,000. $36,000 in year one, $12,000 in year two, $12,000 in year three. This is a 3-year longitudinal study. We have a lot of other counties in your area that are very interested in this. I think there's a lot of people waiting to see what we hear back from the OAAC, but right now things are looking promising. For that $50,000, we would be able to treat and track 18 to 20 Bullitt County citizens who are suffering from opioid use disorder. As I said, I'd like to keep this brief. And again, I have Rebecca with me from NET. She works at Isaiah House for NET, and she is also a former patient. So we were happy to take any questions on the specifics of the study or how this works or kind of where we've been and where we're going.
Well, Mr. Underwood, thank you for the presentation, but also this is the same presentation that you gave at the Magistrates Conference as well.
It is.
And I'm pleased you accepted our invitation to come to the court because 3 of the magistrates were there and myself when y'all presented, but for like Miss Baker, the sheriff, and the rest of the team, Sean, Kay, got all the mayors sitting here, 6 largest cities.
Yep. Like I said, I just kind of wanted to give a refresher on what we're doing. But again, if you all have any specific questions that weren't able to be asked during the magistrates meeting or have thought of anything, we're again happy to answer those. But we would like to stay in contact with the court as far as when you all start making those decisions, because I know there are more and more people coming forward that are going to have requests for appropriations of funds for programming and things of that nature. So, when you all start making decisions on appropriations, we would definitely like to be a part of that process.
Okay.
How do you determine those 18 to 20 possible people? Who do you work with locally in the county? Here in Bullitt County, would you be partnering with?
So that's going to be a partnership with NET and you all to help determine that. It could be with law enforcement, your all's health department, people. Our idea is to get people that you all see far too often that end up in county jail or that the police departments see on too frequent a basis, and determine that those are the kind of people that we would like to put in these treatment programs to continue, this research. But really, it's ultimately to the county government of who you all think is best. And they kind of put it out there for, citizens that are suffering from OUD to, volunteer for this as well. So, but it would, in our mind, it would ultimately be a recommendation from you all to a citizen to come to us and work on that. It would be an option, so.
I know this money hasn't been released to other counties, but at this point, are you using these devices locally or regionally anywhere where anybody has, I noticed there's countries and stuff,
Yeah.
experiments, but is there anywhere locally that some of these individuals, suffering or trying this?
Yes. Currently, we are, and I'll let Rebecca speak to this, we are wrapping up some work at Isaiah House. I guess the closest one to here would probably be Chaplin, Kentucky, in Washington County.
Okay.
But yeah, they've treated 500 patients across all Isaiah houses here in Kentucky. Yeah, Rebecca, if you want to kind of speak to where we are with that.
I started working with NET about a little over a year ago as the on-site lead research assistant. And I've treated people at the Isaiah House locations in Versailles, in Harrodsburg, in Willisburg, and at Chaplin. I myself use the treatment as well, and it completely changed my life. I had tried so many different things to get off of heroin, and the thing about the NET device was that when you go into short-term treatment for a 28-day program and you spend half of the time there going through the withdrawals and the cravings that you do, you're not really able to get anything from that program. What the NET device does is it basically eliminates most of those withdrawal symptoms and those cravings and helps you to kind of like really start to get into that work that you're going to have to do. Because it's not a cure for addiction, right? But what it does is it gives you that choice back to be able to really start working on all of those things.
I haven't really had time to look over this literature. I just received it this morning, but it said something about, is it like a hearing aid? Is it?
So it's kind of like that stem therapy. If you really pull the muscle or seen an athlete, they put those really light electrode pads on them. It's the same principle. It's a device about the size of a cell phone, and it tapes behind the ears right there, and it starts stimulating that part of the brain that creates those chemicals. So.
I got one last question.
Sure.
We identify 18 or 20 people, and we as a court determined that 50,000 might be beneficial to experiment and try this out. Is that something that they will check in with somebody to get that, or is that a device that they take with them and they feel like they need it?
It will be inpatient, more than likely at an Isaiah House facility, because that's who we have an agreement with right now. We're open to using and working with other facilities, but it will be inpatient. Our recommendation is that they do stay for the 28 days. They are on the device for between 3 and 7. But the part of the goal is for them to use the device, stay in treatment to work on the mental health aspects, and then be worked into the wraparound services here in this community as far as trying, job placement, things that you all offer, that the community offers to get these people re-engaged in society as productive citizens is the end goal here. And to be able to track that behavior. This study that we are proposing will treat 1,000 patients over the course of 3 years, statewide.
And also, I wanted to say, also a big difference as far as like MOUD versus the NET devices, it's a much more like long-term solution. Things like Suboxone, methadone, they can help with the cravings and keeping them from using illicit drugs. But it's only while they're using that, and so it turns into something that they have to continuously use for the rest of their life. The NET device is a one-time treatment, and it's done. It's not something that they have to come back to and do once a year, or that they have to always wear. At the end of up to 7 days, the treatment is complete, and I haven't had a single craving since I've used the device, which for an opiate user is really unheard of. And another really big difference is when people are taking Suboxone or methadone, it's really hard to get out of that addict mindset if you're constantly taking something that's making you well. And so I really do think that it's really important that people have options, because as of right now, really those are the only options that people have. And it's proving that it hasn't been the most effective, so.
Okay, good.
I've done a little research about this. I do know someone personally that went to Washington, and did this device, and I know it does work.
Judge, may I ask you?
Sure.
So if I'm understanding correctly, then this is to reduce the initial, the craving, or the withdrawal symptoms. The motivation to get off that, I mean, it's not something that's going to work on that, and like, as you were, I have from a law enforcement and a prosecutorial standpoint dealt with Suboxone and so forth for years, and it's a replacement of one for another. And then somebody, when they fall off, they just right back. Do you have evidence of your recidivism rate?
So right now, because we are going through FDA trials and submitting that information, we have to be careful with the data we share on recidivism and success, but roughly I would say, you're probably looking at 3/4 of people have success with this.
I mean,
Throwing a number at it, but
up to these folks,
Yeah.
mind you, I'm just asking questions.
Oh, absolutely.
When I got somebody coming and asking me for money, I can't tell you whether it's successful or not. I can't give you any evidence of it because of some other reason. That worries me.
Of course, and we definitely understand that. At the end of the day, and Rebecca, I think you can speak to this because you see it firsthand every day, but as far as success and people coming back and being successful with it, what have you seen firsthand in the last 12 months?
Well, I can tell you from my own experience and then also from working with fellow addicts in recovery that the people that have continued to stay clean, because like you said, you do have to want to be clean. And the people that have continued to stay clean they haven't found themselves in the same positions or in the same situations with law enforcement, and they've ended up getting employment, and it's been successful. I myself had found myself, I was homeless, I was in and out of jail, I was doing things that I never thought that I would ever have done, but I was kind of being driven by something else entirely. And so when I finally was able to break that, I mean, I haven't had any issues like that.
So the idea, though, is that it strikes me as like it's a TENS unit that people utilize for a back pain.
Yes, very simple.
You use it for X period of days, and does it diminish or does it eradicate your craving?
So basically what it does is, like, while we were out there using the drugs that we were using, we're artificially creating all of those endorphins and chemicals that we're supposed to be naturally producing. And so when you stop using those drugs, the reason that you go through the withdrawals and you have those intense cravings is because your brain is just depleted and it's not naturally producing those. It does regenerate itself, but it takes time. What the net device does is it basically accelerates that regeneration pretty immediately so that you start creating those endorphins and chemicals and you can start feeling normal again. And like I said, like, it is possible for you to start doing that naturally, obviously, but it takes a significant amount of time. And so it's pretty amazing what the net device is able to produce in a very short amount of time.
Okay. And I'd be happy to put you in touch with Joe Winston, our CEO, who has been researching this for years now, and he could probably give you a little bit more specific data on that.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you very much. Any other questions we can answer, or specifically about, whether it's our ask or the treatment itself?
I have a question about the alternative, the Suboxone, methadone, or does any of that come into play during his treatment at all? Is it an option, or?
Well, I mean, people always have the option of using one of the other forms of MOUD if they want. You wouldn't be able to do.
That you're asking for.
You wouldn't be able to do both of them at the same time.
Ours strictly do this, yes.
And in all honesty, in my experience and from what I've seen with other people, that's not something that people need. Yeah.
You mentioned something about the treatment, the 5 to 7 day treatment, but you mentioned 28 days. Is that a monitoring session after that initial week, or what is it, 3 weeks?
So that is, yes. We want people to do the treatment, and then, we understand that addiction is more than a physical issue. It's a mental health issue. And we feel that people need those additional weeks in treatment to start to put the pieces back together for their mental health and then work into the wraparound services. So that's why we recommend that. And again, it is, to your point, additional monitoring to see how people are reacting and kind of where they go. I mean, you know, we don't want to take the training wheels off immediately, so.
Judge, you might be able to answer this more, but I'm just curious, I mean, do we have any indication or timeline when this money is going to be released, or have you heard from other counties?
No, we've had some funds sent to us already, and we have it, when you see when we present the budget, we have a separate line item for it right now. And there'll be more funds coming as time goes on. And I shared this with Mr. Underwood that myself and the county judge of Spencer County, we met with ex-Governor Fletcher on opportunities that he's presenting too. So there's other opportunities, but Ryan's, their treatment's unique compared to the others.
Well, I think it's amazing, Rachel, you to be a part of the team and to be a patient, you know, and to give a testimony. That speaks a lot.
Thank you.
It does. So obviously somebody go through that. And now, did you use this same treatment here, or this wasn't available maybe at that time?
Oh, no, this is the exact same treatment that I used. Yeah, I actually came out here from, I'm from San Diego, California, and I came out here from California for the net device specifically. This is the only place that it's available.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I've been here ever since. So.
If I may ask, how many prior times did you enter into this treatment?
9 times. Yeah. So this was my next time, this last time. And I went through the program at Isaiah House for Sales. And one other thing I wanted to mention was that this is a polydrug treatment also. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen people come in on heroin and meth and benzos and, you know, all the different things. Like, this doesn't only treat opiates. If they do have multiple drugs in their system, we're able to treat the other drugs as well, which is something that no other, you know, MOUD is able to say. So.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine tracking the expenses, you know, possibly with Tammy and Paul, you would know this, but, you know, going through the court system, people in and out, back and forth, and what it costs even our county and stuff. And, you know, you to throw out 3/4, 75%, you know, I mean, we've got to do some talking as a court, but I mean, my initial gut feeling is, you know, if this changed one person's life, it's worth $50,000, it's a drop in the hat.
And you're talking about changing families,
Yeah,
changing
yeah.
trajectories of an entire family.
Right.
Because, again, criminal court, sure, but we see it in family court too. That's the majority of our petitions where children have to be removed from the home is drugs. So it's, you're talking about changing, you know, entire families.
So when you throw those percentages out, you know, to me, you know, 1% is worth, you know, maybe the money that we're talking about, but we do got to look and see what that overall number is that we're getting and see, you know, other options and stuff. But this is, I appreciate y'all both coming in for sure, and it does sound like it's something that you've got personal experiences with somebody that's been through there, and hearing your testimony of how it's changed your life and being in and out 9 times.
And it doesn't work on everyone that goes in there that tries it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, like Walt said too, you know, you have to want it, and then you have to, and then I've worked with other groups and stuff, you have to surround yourself with people that's going to be the right people when you get out, because, you know, but this sounds really, really interesting. I've never heard of anything like this.
And if I may, and I don't mean to, but, so when you said it works on heroin and meth and so forth as well, I jumped to the conclusion that, or perhaps not a conclusion, but I jumped to a belief that has to do with that opportunity to and increase the speed at which your body redevelops its own endorphin production, which Suboxone and whatever, their replacement drugs is what they are. That's my take on it. And that's what, is that why it is a treatment for things other than opiates?
Yes. Yes. The short answer is yes. That's how it works. It you know, kickstarts those parts of the brains, the part of the brain that is creating those chemicals, and makes up for those deficiencies that were created during addiction.
I'm a mom that's lost a son to addiction, and
if something like this were to have been available to him, I would imagine he would have jumped right on it, just for the fact that Suboxone is so slow. And when they start feeling good, they stop taking it. And then that crave comes right back, and then they relapse. So I would have loved something like this to have happened for him. I know he would have, so, you know, this is nothing. This is not money, just saying, something.
Keith, how much do we got in our budget right now? I mean, can we make a motion?
Well, we've gotten over $900,000, I think, is what the total was in the opioid. Isn't that right, Tammy and I looked at this.
That's right.
We've looked at this for the mental health court, that we've, in the proposed budget, using these funds for that. But we have that budget, and every year, by the end of the 10 years, I think it's a 10-year stretch.
It's 18.
Is it 18?
It's 18 years, yeah.
I knew it was a long.
Yeah.
But we should get over maybe $4 million.
Well, I don't even know what I don't know what we're waiting on. I'll be honest, I'm impressed enough by the presentation to take a chance.
You all have the budget. It's time for you all to examine the budget. I think what you all need to do is contact and say, let's put $36,000 in the budget this year for this. Again, that's not, they have to vote on it.
Of course,
So
yeah.
let's caveat, but the money is there.
Oh, that's just, I mean, can we do the 50,000 right now?
Well, if you're spread it over 3 years, you.
Okay, well, I'm just going to make a motion. I'll be honest, I think, you know, Walt can tell you statistics of the people. We've got the jailer, Brian, sitting in the back. I think between the jailer and Walt and Tammy, county attorney, I mean, we can find 18 or 20 people to put through this, no problem at all among us. So I'd like to put in the form of a motion that we go ahead and commit today $36,000 for that first year in our upcoming budget to allocate towards this NET recovery device. And I'm not sure exactly the specific company name.
It's Net Recovery, and the way this would work is that Net would draft up an agreement with the specifics, you know, number of citizens and payments, just so that everybody's got a record of everything, where the money will be held in escrow as it's used, and put together with other counties, so that everybody would have the mechanics of how this all works.
And that agreement would come back to the courts. So
Yes.
You're marking the money right now to be put in the budget, and the agreement would come back to the courts.
Yes.
So in that motion, let's earmark the money for this and the upcoming budget in my motion, pending the approval of the contract by our county attorney.
If I may, one other thing though, and first off, I applaud and advocate that you do exactly what you're looking to do. But don't be, so, in terms of, could I walk back over to the office and come back over with a list of people, to 20 people? I don't think so, and here's why. Motivation has to fall into it. And most of the folks I've run into in my life that are addicted to, whether it be alcohol, drugs, etc., and are an absolute mess, sometime during the day, most days, they have some period that they want to be the mother, the father, the brother, the son, the citizen that God wants them to be. But they lose that, and I think, you would know better than I, but fear, for one. They want to do it, but then the fear of, oh my God, what am I going to feel like? I'm not going to get that endorphin dump, so it passes by. But we got to catch them when they're in that period of time. We've had a program going for some time, the Angel Project, around that. Somebody wants to come and get help, they can come to a Bullitt County Deputy Sheriff or Kentucky State Trooper, etc., and ask for help, and we'll move them in that. We got a place. I've got a place. The Robert Alexander Center said, you call us, we'll get a bed for them. But they're finding them when they are the most heroic period of their day, that they're ready to take that challenge today. And it might not last. They may be good today till noon, and then they can't make it further, or they may be good for a week. But if we can, it's worth it, because over and over, if we got to keep trying, in other words. So we'll have to search around, and it's up to the people that want to come, because somebody, if we catch, they go to the jail tonight and they're loaded, and we say, okay, well, if you want to join in this program, we'll let you get it. That ain't the guy to get necessarily, because they have to be motivated to want to try.
Oh, I agree.
Right?
I agree 100%. I think we could come up with some kind of committee or something among you all that could determine who those people are, because Also, it sounds like, they're not just checking in somewhere and checking out, they're going for a month, they're committing to a month.
That was one of the things I was going to say also, is like, that's why we recommend the 28 days, is so that you can learn some of those coping mechanisms and those tools that you'll need to continue to be successful after the treatment.
And what pushes me is to know that this money that we do give is impacting our community. It's impacting the people in Bullitt County right now. And when Keith throws that number out there, I'll be honest, it sounds like a drop in the hat for me to make this motion to try to make a difference in the lives of somebody in this community.
And that's exactly what the opioid settlement funds are for.
Right.
That kind of issue.
Right.
Yeah.
I second it.
I have a question.
Oh, no, please, by all means.
Did you say it's 50,000 over 3 years?
Yes.
Because it's 36,000 plus 12
Plus 12, yes.
That's 60.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I've done this in my head 10 times. I'm like, how does that even work?
I do government relations, not math. No, it would be, yeah,
It'd be
36 and then, yeah, so, yeah, 14.7 and, yeah, 7 and 7 to make it, yeah, to get up to 50,000.
Just draft that contract, we'll look it over.
Yeah. There are smarter people than me that put that together, trust me.
And my next question is, I know you said because, I guess, or whatever, you can't really give those statistics. But if we were to do this with the 18 or 20 people, is there a way we can know those specific sectors?
Absolutely, so, like I
Like a
said,
drug court, they do a graduation and everything.
Well, we don't need to
like that. I mean, I would
know
like to
names
see something
necessarily.
like that, yeah.
so
Ryan will be able to tell you those statistics real quick.
Yeah, I know, I mean, behind the scenes,
I'll see
but I would
them
like
if
to
they come
know
back.
a real.
Yeah.
we will be working with KY Stats to compile that data, as well as, our goal is, and we're still trying to work through some of the details on that, but we're pretty close, the Cabinet for Health and Family Services with the state, to be able to track almost every conceivable level of data on people, as far as, like I said, health, employment, education, all those things. And yeah, and be able to keep track, yeah, exactly.
At the end of the 3 years, we would like to.
Oh,
To
yeah.
party, celebrate.
And I think we'll be able to give, updates on those metrics as the study goes on. So, to help you all create a roadmap on where you all want to go long-term with your community and how we, fight this crisis.
good.
Just to make it clear, you want 50 or 60?
It's 60.
It's, I said 50, I'm just,
Oh, you changed it back? You divided the the 14 by 2, 7, right? Got it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
36 is what you need for the
Yep.
first year.
This is-
So
yeah, for the
that's
first
what's
year.
in the motion, that we'll reserve that amount out of funds allocation, or to allocate it.
Well, and let me add a little bit to that, the entire contract, because if we start into the first year, then there's 2 more years with adjacent funds too. An opioid fund to help all members of the courts, a separate line item can only be spent a separate way, a specific way, so it won't be used for other, it can be earmarked for the years coming.
Any discounts for paying that all up front first year?
Okay. So
Okay, so I'll clean that motion up a little bit. But I'd like to make a motion that we reserve $50,000 from opioid settlement fund to allocate over the course of 3 years, with the first payment being the amount of $36,000 for the first year, and then the remaining balance divided among the following 2 years, made payable in agreement with net recovery. And then also something that just needs to be said about, once they draft the contract, that we'll review that and vote on that contract. Full acceptance, trying to reserve the money now while you're here.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to reserve funding for $50,000 for the next 3 years through upon the contract agreement with NET in our fiscal budget coming up of 2023 to 2024. And it'll carry from 2024 to 2025, 2025 to 2026. Sam, call roll.
Sanders.
Yes.
Bullitt.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Leemal.
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes.
Carried.
Brian, thank you all.
Thank you all.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. B and C on the presentations, Justin and John, they're conducting what I'm going to say a search for a young man. Right now they have the command trailer and all of their all the accessories that we have as a county government from their drone in the city of Mount Washington and the surrounding area for a young man that's been missing since Sunday. So they won't be here. And next up will be Chris Hale. Chris is going to give us an update on the ambulance accident.
Absolutely. For all of y'all that don't know, I'm interim director at Bullitt County EMS. We did have an ambulance accident or incident on Wednesday, April 26th. That occurred at about 18:40 in the evening. Our ambulance.
I'll say it at the end of it. Okay.
I'm going to kind of read this from my phone, and then we'll go through the PowerPoint. Our ambulance squad 5 was departing the scene of a rollover accident on I-65. They were transporting one patient from that accident to the hospital. Shortly after departing that scene, loading the patient and departing that scene, they had stopped. Don't know the reason that they had stopped. Maybe the patient needed something from a different provider. I'm not positive. That's still being investigated. But shortly after they stopped, the driver got out of the ambulance, walked around to the side, and saw the semi heading towards them. He was able to get out of the way. Unfortunately, the semi did collide with the rear of our ambulance. At the time of the impact, the original patient, EMT Barnes, were in the patient care area. EMT Barnes was thrown around. He was unconscious there on the scene. Paramedic Martell, he suffered some scrapes and bruises from the incident. Due to the nature of that incident, all 3 individuals in the ambulance were transported to the hospital. The original patient from the original accident to my knowledge, did not suffer any additional injuries during the accident. They were all evaluated there at the hospital and released shortly after midnight on Thursday morning. Got a little presentation. It does contain some images of the ambulance. There is some blood on those images, so if you all don't want to see that, please excuse yourselves. Original dispatch, we responded to I-65 North, mile marker 120.6 for a 3 vehicle MVA, one that had flipped and unknown entrapment. We didn't know if anybody was in the vehicle, trapped in the vehicle, and we didn't know any injuries. This is the crew that responded to that. Paramedic Carlos Martell, he's been serving with us since 2018, and EMT Tyler Barnes, he started with us in April of 22. Responding and on the scene. So while responding to the incidents such as these, EMS typically faces heavy traffic and have to take the emergency lanes to reach the scene. On the scene, crews on their safety vehicle, exit the vehicle, and then the patient becomes the priority. These are not actual images from this incident, just to clarify. Departing the scene, as crews, with the assistance of police and fire, were able to load the single patient on this scene into the ambulance and depart en route to the hospital. Moments before this incident occurred, Squad 5 departed and stopped shortly after, which I already explained. Paramedic Martell exited the ambulance and was walking to the rear. He had come around to the shoulder side of the ambulance. And we have an access door on this side. And he was, I assume, going to get into the back of the ambulance to talk with the patient care provider. After the collision, this was taken at the tow lot. After the collision, EMT Barnes and the original patient was trapped into this vehicle. Shepherdsville Fire was on scene of the original accident. They heard this. They were able to get to the ambulance and get our crew out and the original patient pretty rapidly and into another ambulance. The next 2 pictures are of closer detail inside the ambulance. EMT Barnes, if you see the blue board there, he was kind of, to my understanding, kind of pinned between that and the stretcher down on that side. He did suffer some head injuries from that. Currently, both crews both members, crew members and the patient were taken to UMLD. All three individuals were treated in emergency. Paramedic Martell suffered minor scrapes and bruises, and while dealing with emotional distress, he returned to work that following Saturday. He is still currently working, and I asked him to be here today, but he said he was too emotional to come. EMT Barnes, he's at home. He suffered from a concussion, other non-life-threatening injuries. He's currently at home recovering with his family. I spoke with him over the weekend, and he is in good spirits and expected to return shortly. Any questions about that?
I really appreciate taking the time to put this together and give us an update. I know it's something I know probably been on a lot of our minds, and just wondering how everybody's been doing. It's lucky nobody was killed. I mean, looking at those images, it's really, really blessed and fortunate. God was definitely watching over everybody there. But it's a reminder how dangerous your old job is. And that stretch of I-65, I know Walt's talked about it many times. It's just, you know, we live, our community is divided by an interstate, and it's a dangerous section of the interstate. And I commend you all for what you do every day. But yeah, it's just a reminder that thankfully that everybody was able to eventually walk away from that. It's unreal, to be honest.
Certainly appreciate it.
Also appreciate the professionalism of the updates and stuff. It's really nice to see that slideshow and to get an update from the department, so thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. I also want to take this moment just to remind everybody, if you do see any emergency vehicle, any vehicle really pulled over on the side of the road, move over, slow down, give them some space. You never know if somebody's changing a tire or you happen to step out in the road or whatever. Just move over, give them some space, take your time. Very easily, like Mr. Loxton said, our crew, the patient that was in the ambulance, could have lost their lives due to this collision, and could have been avoided if just slowing down and moving over. I also want to thank the court for, over the past couple of years, improving our ambulances and getting us bigger, better ambulances. We do have 2 box trucks with a few more on the way that are much safer, and hopefully this incident doesn't occur again, but if it was, hopefully these ambulances would withstand that impact a lot better. So thank you all.
Thank you, Chris.
Please pass on our best wishes for everybody to feel for speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And also got an update from the sheriff here just a minute ago that the young man about Washington, Justin Collins, has been found. And he was 16 years old, and they'll have an update on his condition later. Okay, at this time, we have a few guest speakers here, and whatever order y'all would like to speak in, Mary Edens, Hatcher, Dangerfield, whichever one of y'all would like to speak. Y'all have always gave me the common courtesy of not having to sign up to speak, and we're glad you're here.
I could tell by the looks I was getting, I guess I'm going to get to go first.
Okay.
If I was supposed to say anything. Judge, I appreciate the opportunity to come up here and address the court and everything else. I was compelled to come back up here today based on the fact that the last fiscal court was here where it came up about the interlocal agreement, and I was disgusted enough in what I've seen and heard, let down, embarrassed in the fact that something dies on the floor. We've been around a long time where a lot of people seen stuff come to the floor or whatever, and there's enough mindset put into it that you would formulate an opinion before you got here and looked into the evidence of, such as the fact that House Bill so-and-so gets passed. I don't mean to sound like I'm rambling, but it does in the state level, fiscal court, here, there, wherever. And usually on the back of something like that, there's other things tied to it that you don't see passed unless House Bill so-and-so passes. We all seen that governmental actions taken before. When doing this, the interlocal agreement itself, if it's not passed, there's more to it than Magistrate Blingel had mentioned, fixing potholes and doing roads and what have you. With that in mind, I know we don't want Bullitt County Road Department to become Bullitt County Blacktopping Association. You know, I understand that. And we've put in for this ever since I've been 17 years on the council and mayor. It's been a really good tool that we've used. We've used it and used it a lot. And when you look at it to pothole patching or blacktopping, that's not what it's all about. If you look to the back side of that, where I'm going with this, it's the things such as if they are blacktopping, and it's happened before, the last 2 or 3 road department people that's handled it, I've worked well with them, as well as the fact that we've all worked together as fiscal court, county, judges, trying to bring the cities together. The mayors are here now because we're trying to develop a camaraderie amongst ourselves that makes Bullitt County what it is. So if you jump out of the box in reference to what you're saying, the defense of what you're saying, everybody can't have all this blacktopping done all at one time and this and that and everything else. It hadn't been asked for in the past, but we didn't have a $500,000 blacktopping machine that we could do it with. But when somebody's coming down the road, whether it been in the past, Stivers, Hyatt, whoever, Watkins, I don't care who, and they doing Sanders Lane, which is a county road, at the end of that road, they come into my road and they call me in advance and say, Mayor, would y'all like us to just keep coming? We're here, we're staged up, we're right there. And you pay for the materials to extend that road on into my area with what money I got. It's a blessing. It's better than calling a big road department to come in and spend that kind of money, and it's there. And we're not talking about equipment that we would ask you to loan. We pay city taxes, we pay county taxes. So what we're asking you to use ultimately to help us in our situation, whether it be a small town, big town, whatever, we all have the same problem. Might be little money, might be big money, but the problems are still there. So in doing so, when this happens and we have an opportunity to gain something, I love using it. And for a few examples of, just leave the blacktopping alone, take it somewhere else. The people in my town look forward to seeing Christmas lights put up. We, the county, own a bucket truck that's not being used, and I call over, and graciously, it's happened so many times, we might be busy today, but the interlocal agreement gives me an opportunity for them to stage up and say, we will come back and take care of you next Tuesday to put the Christmas lights up. That saves us from taking our funds and renting a bucket truck for a one-shot deal, then go back and rent it again to take them down when the county will send it over at their leisure time if they can. It's a big help. And whenever they're using the side mowing machine, I seen an opportunity when I first took over being mayor, they would mow down a county road, turn on Merriman Lane, I use it for an example, or back in Harts Ferry. Let's drop that down because we're going into the city. That's the kind of relationship we had at that time where we fixed all of that, we mended all of that. The interlocal agreement does that. So getting beyond the blacktop, also you have the wintertime. We have a staged up area in Lebanon Junction for them to drop salt off to where when that county is down there on slick roads, bad times of night, people's in jeopardy, ambulances is out, and everything else, and they're trying to do what they can. They don't have to stop and go back to Bullitt County, shop over here and pick up their salt. We let them store salt on our area. In doing so, if they can't get there, I don't know how many times, we go out and salt the county roads on the hill going out towards the Bullitt County Rod and Gun Club. We do Harts Ferry for them. The storm had just passed. We're out cutting up trees. I myself was out there. The fire department, we took our backhoe, we helped the county. So they help us, we help them. So it's not a one-sided deal here. You know, so when you see all this, something as minor as the banner being put up for Lebanon Junction's festival, but because somebody don't like blacktop or pothole patching, we're going to nix the whole thing and let it drop. It's an embarrassment to stand in this room and see it asked for and see people just sit there hush mouth, not say nothing, and let it die on the floor. And I will go this far to say, Manager Bleemel, I would have really appreciated it had you come to our city, your area that you're responsible for, and asked us the pros and cons to this. So if I just don't like it, we don't pass it, that's great. That's great. But if you come and ask us and we share with you some of these things, it's really helps everybody on the back end of it. It's not all about the blacktopping. It's not, but y'all made it sound like it the other day. So with that, I just feel like, and then I'm going to go into one more thing and I'll sit down and I'll shut up. It's out there on the streets. I don't on Facebook. I get compassionate about it. I get tore up about it. I don't like to hear all the rumor mills and this and that, but going straight to the fact. It's out there, it's all over the street. Every time I mention it to people that has nothing to do with politics, they'll say that there's animosity between certain individuals on the fiscal court towards the road department and the road department in itself. I don't like this leadership, or I don't like that. I don't like the judge. I don't like this. No individual's come and told me that, but the feeling is out there. So to bury that feeling, I'd like to see us work together such as, and I will back up to a point. Brian, if he's in here, he's helped me a lot with the inmates and what have you. Before, we had Paul Watkins in there. We argued. You didn't vote for me, you voted for somebody else. Well, okay, I voted for somebody else. That's my prerogative. That's what I did. But the bottom line to that is, like I told him, you are my jailer. And I got 1,800 reasons to deal with you. Each one of them is a citizen that I was elected to take care of. And I'm standing for now for the same 18 people, 1,800. Y'all have the same obligations to reach out and take care of people, whether you like who the leaderships are or who they're not. People may not like me being mayor. I know they don't. 180 some of them vote against me. So there you are. But the thing about it is, we're here for one cause. Like somebody said the other day, we talking about how many cities in Lebanon Junction, the county was upset about all this. And the question came to me, how many cities do we have in our county? 8. But the key word there is our county. So I don't care if you're magistrate, the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st judge, whatever. Each one of us, not you, all of us, we have to stand up and take care of the individual whether we like it or we don't like it. And a prime example of that is, last night in our fiscal court, I had a council person that was just adamant about not passing something. But before it was over, after the explanations of, she actually made the motion to pass it because it was for the benefit of the entire city, not just her personal feelings. So with that, I would like y'all to look back at this interlocal agreement. If you can see fit to make it work, as it has for 32 years. Tim Sanders has been on council for 32 years. We've had it every year, and it's worked. It's actually worked. But you need to know, we need to know as mayors, that scheduling a blacktop is a bigger event than putting up a sign, and I understand that, or cleaning out a ditch or whatever we got to help each other do, cutting a tree down. But I would like to see that looked into, to where the burden will not be all about blacktopping on the interlocal agreement, because there's a lot more involved in it than what it looked like in that meeting the other day. And then with that, I appreciate y'all's time so much. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Edens.
Thank you, Judge. Wow, I don't know if I can even follow Mayor of Lebanon Junction. He done a fabulous job on that, but I've been mayor for 21 years on my last term. Can't wait to get out and enjoy a little bit of life instead of getting beat up on all the time. That's what this job's about, but what I love this job. Because what I love about this job is I love helping people. I love working with people. And I have never voted on anything in the 21 years I've been mayor because of personal issues, because I was against somebody, didn't like that person. I looked at what was best for the community. And it's what you are supposed to be doing. Ms. Johnson, you came to our city council meeting and sat there and listened to us pass the resolution, never opened up your mouth one time. And you come back here and did the same thing, never opened up your mouth. Thank you, Sean Logston, for making that motion. I don't know what your reasons are, Vera. I know what her reasons are, and I know what Mr. Brian Bleemel's reasons are. And it's sad that you folks were put in that position to represent your folks, and you let them down. We have a bridge that needs to be put in right now. Already had a plan. She heard it. Sat there and heard it. Her folks that she's representing, people that voted her in office, she heard that. Never said, opened her mouth, walked out like everything was hunky-dory. That's wrong. Every one of those people in my community pay a county tax. We pay county taxes. Remember that. We're all one people. That's what we're supposed to be. I've never turned down anything that the county has come and asked me to help. because that's what we should be doing. We should be grabbing hands, singing Kumbaya or whatever. We should be doing those things. Jerry and I has butted heads, but we're both mature enough that we get over it and we go on. We might get a little miffed at each other, but we go on, we get on. That's just what you do. Gary Hatcher, Mayor of Pioneer Village, we butted heads many times.
We don't count.
Yeah, we got sore spots on our heads. We get over it, we go on, because Gary knows, I know that we both are in office not for each other, we're in offices for the people we represent. Same way with every one of those mayors that are sitting on that bench. We meet twice or once every other month. And not all of us agree on the same thing. But you know what the worst part about this whole thing is? That you passed it for one city and said the other 7 don't mean anything to you. Shame on you. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else?
No, I'm reviewing 2 movies.
Okay. Owen, Jose?
Go ahead, Sport.
But I do want to thank you all for coming today to express your concerns. And we've had I personally feel like we've had a great relationship in the past and the future. We've been to Frankfurt together. We did a comprehensive road plan of what roads need to be fixed with the state or expanded. And I hope this bump in the road doesn't dampen our relationships moving forward. And we will review this and take another opportunity to present it at a later
I'd like
date.
to interrupt you, and I'd like to just, I mean, they're all here now. If anybody's got a problem, I mean, I think that now would be the best time to address those pros and cons. I'd like to make a motion that we re-enter an interlocal agreement with Mount Washington, Hebron Estates, Lebanon Junction, Pioneer Village, Hillview, Hunters Hollow, Fox Chase, and under my understanding that we're already in an interlocal agreement with Shepherdsville, so you can add them on there as well to have it all.
And I'd like to second that.
Any discussion, members of the court?
I'd just like to say something. So I'm not opposed to interlocal agreements at all, helping the cities. I just like to be informed on what we're doing. You know, county, equipment, county employees, stuff like that. So, but and I did vote for the one in Shepherdsville. Because you kind of mentioned there was fix a parking lot and a colonial house where it's going to be. And if there's other roads and stuff like that, that'll be brought up, it won't be under just one blanket interlocal agreement. Because this just covers if there's anything. So I'd just like to know what the county's doing. And I'm not opposed to any city or anything like that. So sorry if I'm making you feel that way. And if I had to do over, you know, I wouldn't have, I'd just like to see them, I guess you'd say project specific. But, so,
Okay.
I'd like to say something. Of course, I'm not against the local, interlocal agreement. I'm kind of like Brian, being new, I just like to see what our county is doing. I'm a person, I share a lot of things on Facebook. I like to be able to share, oh, the road department went to the city and did this. I'm a person, I'm a very structured person, and I just like knowing what's going on. I know the state comes down and they choose roads that they want to pay to have blacktops. We know in advance what roads those are because we have a list of it. I have no idea about the bridge you're talking about. None of that was ever presented. It was just an interlocal agreement. And being new at this, I don't know exactly what it is. And this was just so, I mean, it was given to us in a meeting, and of course we did vote probably 2 weeks before that from Shepherdsville. But I started questioning because I don't know what an interlocal agreement is. I'm new, that's why I'm going to conferences and finding out things. I'd just like to know what they're doing. That's all I've got to say.
Okay.
what your city needs.
And to help both you two, we have a program called iWorks that we voted on in this court maybe a year ago, and we will make sure that you all get hooked up to it, because we did a series of reports in the past that is we have done there what you all are saying, but it's just sort of fell on deaf ears and went away more than once, because the interest has it twaned with the magistrates. So we have iWorks. The only person, wherever Charlie's at, he's the only one that's really qualified to teach it and train it. And until he gets some help, we'll have to make sure that you all are brought up to speed on it, as well as the road department. And because it's a system where you can just get on your phone and look and see what's being done, or what's going to be done. Because we wanted to extend it back out to the mayors too as well, and their administrators, to, if they have opportunities that they would like to submit to as well.
Do you know how much time was spent on international local agreements last year?
No. No, it's always been what we do. It's to quote Mayor Dangerfield and Edens, we work together. And that's what this administration's been all about for the last 4 years. We have worked together.
That's what we want. We want to be able to work together.
They paid maybe 3 roads for us last year. But there's one other hand of that I didn't mention, you don't mind me interrupting.
No, go ahead.
We work with them also.
Right.
I mean, like Mayor Dangerfield said, we let them keep their trucks or salt down there at our place too, so they don't have to travel back. All of this saves taxpayers money.
Yep.
It's being good stewards of your taxpayers' dollars. That's all it's about.
Right.
You know, I can go call Louisville Paving and come out and pay extra of the taxpayers' dollars. But if your guys, they don't come out there and especially pave our roads. What they do is when they're in the area, paving roads, they say, oh, Jim, y'all got roads you need to pave? Absolutely. And then they'll get them while they're down there. They don't haul all that equipment out there just for Hillview.
Right.
Because the county roads are running through Hillview. My guess is very part of Hillview's in your district. Oh, we're so cut up. I don't even know where all your district goes. Hers is. I don't know, you get Brooks.
Yes, I do.
Then part of your district's in our city. So yeah, you may come to our city council meeting, maybe you know what you're doing. Not bashing it, I've never seen you there.
No, I have never.
And I'd love for you to come and actually ask a question.
I've never attended your council meetings. It's just, I did not know, like you said, when they're in that area, they go on, I didn't know that's what they did. I don't know how this works.
I believe we've had an interlocal agreement with the county for salt probably ever since the judge has been in office. And we'll come down and pick up salt, we'll pay you all back at your all's cost. But in working with the county superintendent stuff, we ask them, if you got any roads that need to be plowed, an area you can't get to, we'll work with you. And that's what it's all about. I've been in this business for 30 years now, as a mayor of council.
And I do feel
I'll also tell you that, my point of view, when we elected you all, I saw an improvement in Bullitt County. I'm talking about all the officials, I thought. Now, we're going to move Bullitt County forward from where it's been standing still for 10 or 20 years. And you all have done a great job. So I want to thank you all for that.
And I thank you for that too. But I want to have a good relationship with everyone. I don't want this big. None of this really affected me because most of mine's in Shepherdsville and it's passed, you know. So it kind of looks like, oh, she passed Shepherdsville, but she didn't pass the rest of it. Well, a lot of it is because after I passed Shepherdsville, it's like, what, you know, what is all this? So, and I want us to have a good relationship. I don't want us bickering over
Let's
silly
start
stuff.
a good relationship by entertaining the motion on the floor.
Okay. All right. I have a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by 3rd District Magistrate Johnson to approve the interlocal agreements. I'm just going to cut it really short here with the 8 cities all the way around. And and I know the county attorney can attest to this from what we found. They're identical literally from year to year.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and when it comes to record retentions, we've got a question about that, why we even have to keep them from years past. So, Sam, call the roll.
Logsdon?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Label?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes,
Sanders?
Yes.
Motion carried.
thank you all. And
I feel if I had a better understanding of everything, I had no idea that we had lights for Christmas and stuff like that. Things, but things could have probably been a little different. Y'all, please come and join us on the 1st and 3rd Tuesday of the month. You're always here.
they will. Okay, and now to help Chris out, moving on to the next item, under new business. We want to hire some of our part-time employees to make them full-time at EMS. We're right at 20 folks short. Is that about right, Chris? To keep our 8 ambulances during the day and 7 at nighttime running in a physically responsible manner. And it's Jacob Perry, Caitlin Skaggs, and Eric Stockwell from part-time to full-time, and then to promote Nicholas Perkins from a EMT to advanced EMT, which required a lot of extra training for them to be that successful. And I'm going to make that motion.
Second.
And I have a second by Magistrate Logsdon. Any discussion? Sam, call the roll.
Johnson?
Yes.
Label?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logsdon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Number 2 is action requested to adjust Mackenzie King from part-time animal care to full-time effective 5/4/23. And we've had 2 full-time employees quit since the last fiscal court meeting at the animal control. So I'm going to make that recommendation. And Janice, what's the salary? $12.50 an hour. And I'm going to make that motion.
I'll second.
I got a second by 2nd District, 3rd District Magistrate Johnson. Any discussion?
Is this King the one that we voted on last fiscal court year? I'm sorry.
Ms. King? No. No.
Okay. So, but she... No, it's different. She's a part-time employee. She's presently a part-time employee.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's not a spelling change, just to say that.
What is her salary?
Her salary, yes, the salary is built in, her salary is the same. She's not maybe just going from full-time.
And that is going to stay the same.
It's a different in benefits there. We can discuss all that at budget time. I didn't hear a second.
Oh, second.
Oh, Ms. Johnson, second. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. Sam, call a roll, please.
Label?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logsdon?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
That surplus list from the sheriff's office, a couple of nice hot rod Tauruses on there. I'm sure they're in great shape. I need a motion for that.
I make a motion that we surplus items from the sheriff's office.
Second.
Got a motion by 1st District Magistrate Sanders, a second by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon to approve the surplus items list from the sheriff's office. Sam, call the roll.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Lingle.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. One of the most important things, so we don't end up like the federal government, we need the first reading of Budget Ordinance 22-09, Amendment Number 2. Ken Ann?
Page 1 and 2, ordinance number 22-09, amendment number 2, an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas the county of Bullitt has realized unbudgeted receipts from the general, road, jail, LGEA, EMS, forest, fire fund, clerk storage fee, E911, and the ARPA funds. Be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of the County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, the budget of fiscal year 22-23 is amended to A, increase the receipts of the general, road, jail, LGEA, EMS, forest, fire, clerk storage fee, E911, and ARPA funds by $5,581,795.46 to include unbudgeted receipts from account code 01, the general fund, $5,101,919.78. 02, the road fund, $124,407.89. 03, the jail, $298,205.97. 04, the LGEA, $4,121.62. 09, the EMS, $11,879.48. 12, the forest fire, $208.97. 75, the clerk storage fee, $16,735.01. 77, the E911, $17,039.97. 84, the ARPA funds, $7,279.77. Section D, includes the expenditure accounts, account code 01, the general fund, $5,101,919.78. 02, the road fund, $127,407.89. 03, the jail, $298,205.97. 04, the LGEA, $4,121.62. 09, the EMS, $11,876.48. 12, the forest fund, $208.97. 75, the clerk storage fee, $16,735.08. 77, the E911 fund, $17,039.97. 84, the ARPA fund, $7,279.77. Section 2, the amount adjusting the receipts and expenditure account in Section 1 are for governmental purposes. Does not require any action.
Thank you, Ken Ann. At this time, Vera, you have any comments?
Yes. I'd just like to give a big shout out to North Bullitt cheerleaders. They won the nationals last week in Florida. I'd just like to give them a big shout out. I was sitting at the airport yesterday and ran into a bunch of the cheerleaders and they were all excited to tell me how they got them. I told them I'd be sure to have this report how I got it.
Sean?
Well, I'm going to thank Stuart for being here, Ms. Stuart Owen, Mayor of Mount Washington. Thanks for coming. The rest of the mayors. Surprised seeing everybody here today, but thank you all for attending. Want to invite everybody in Mount Washington in our district, and Mayor of Mount Washington can attest to this, but coming up, I don't think we've got a meeting before then, but yeah, May 12th and May 13th, we've got the Spring Festival in Mount Washington. So it's going to be an exciting time as always. Hopefully we'll have some great weather. It's Derby weekend this weekend, so don't forget about that. School's out on Friday for Oaks, but appreciate everything, and thank you again, Mayor, for being here, and look forward to working with you.
Okay, thank you. Karen?
I would also like to thank all the mayors for being here today. I have several in my area. Several of them need to get to their city council meetings. Of course, you can always get in touch with me, and communication skills, I think, are very important. So if you ever have any issues, feel free to contact me. You can give me a call, and but I knew that we could get this all worked out, and that everything would be fine. I just needed to see what the concerns were from all administrators and come to a good agreement. Because I know That we have many different interlocal agreements that have always worked, and it helps everybody. I haven't worked for the Public Works Department or the Road Department, so I don't know the interaction, so I wanted to hear what the concerns were and see how we could handle it, and see how we could fix it. But very good, it just goes to the communication, so anytime that you ever have any concerns of mine, feel free to give me a call, and we can discuss it.
Okay.
But
Thank you. Brian?
No, sir.
Okay. I do want to announce that we did, and I want to thank the members of the court, we approved purchasing the property. We bought the property from Brian Bunnell at 5.481 acres on 3993 South Preston Street. And we'll be in the process of moving animal control from where it exists now to that location. I'm going to thank him right now before court, but Mr. Whitaker, and he's going to get some folks in there to walk that high grass to make sure there's nothing in there that'll tear up our equipment when we go to mow it, either later this week or early next week. And if any of y'all know anyone in Bullitt County who does demolition, please send them our way so we can get together some prices and a contractual agreement to demo the house and clean the rest of the property up around it. But it's absolutely a sterling location. Everybody will be able to see animal control up front from Preston Highway. We're also going to move the water fill station there as well. And it'll be highly visible and easily accessible to all members of the community. And then I am like Sean, the 12th and 13th are really great days in Mount Washington, as well as the festivals in the rest of the cities that we have as well. And I'm hoping maybe Jose will walk with me in that one again. So he's been there a couple of times with me. And
Also need some equipment and manpower to put it all in a row.
yes, sir.
Always.
Gotcha. We sure will. I know y'all's passion, and I do, Jim, for yourself and all of y'all there, and Jim and Larry in particular, I know y'all's passion about what I'm going to say drug addiction. And I'm so glad that this court chose to take the first step in doing this as well. And we're looking at other opportunities too for a rehab facility. It has to be in a rural community. We're too big of a community to get what I'm going to say federal dollars for that. But we will see how things move forward. And Justin, glad you're here. We'll get your presentation the next time. And so glad you found the young man or assisted in doing it and using our command trailer and our drone, and for the members of the court who approved all that, they were matching grants. And it's good to have state-of-the-art equipment to be able to take care of our community. So at this time, Vera, what time is it?
It's 10:48, time to adjourn.
Okay. All right. I have one motion to adjourn. I need a second. Got a second by 3rd District Magistrate Johnson. Sam, call the roll, please.
Sanders?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Sample? Yes. Judge Summer?
Thank you all. Yes.